I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. We're getting a new member of Congress.
Hey, it's good for the other states. Why don't we do it too? Is this just our version of political Me Too movement? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
everybody's doing it.
Right,
okay.
Exactly.
Bad idea, bad suggestion, but still, that's kind of what I do. Yeah.
Colorado group pressures ballot measure to pave the way for a new congressional map. NBC News reporting. This got national attention yesterday. A new Colorado group launched an effort Wednesday to place an initiative on the ballot this year to pave the way for a new congressional map that would favor Democrats for the 2028 and 2030 elections. Coloradans for a level playing field.
I love how they have the really fun names. I wish I could have that job just for like a couple of months. Just make the happy name for whatever the group is, because the Sunshine and Puppies Coalition or whatever it is. They always have these really fun names.
They get paid well too. Remember when Mikey Johnston dropped $100,000?
Yeah, that's right.
To rename 16th Street Mall 16th Street.
Yeah, 16th Street. So
$25,000 a letter, Bill.
Yeah, and the best part about it is that the firm that pulled that money
was in England.
Could have, they could have spent 45 seconds with an eraser going, okay, street's gone. Done. Wow, that's fantastic. You wouldn't accept that homework from your 6-year-old.
Brian Regan has a funny skit where he wonders if the guys who wrote Dora the Explorer's song just forgot about it and then had to walk into a meeting and we're like, I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map, I'm a map.
It is. Also, everyone listening to Jeff and Bill's show understand Jeff and I both knew that song. You can sing along with it.
Well, I also find the name of this ironic because we have a level playing field right now. Especially if you're a conservative, you sit there and go, we'd have 50-50 representation in a state that constantly statewide goes blue. That seems interesting. But the group formed earlier this month is hoping voters will approve a measure to temporarily bypass the state's Independent Redistricting Commission as a response to Republican-led states redrawing maps over the last year. No one wanted to have to take this action. Independent redistricting is the ideal, said the group spokesperson, Curtis Hubbard, in a statement. We could sit back and do nothing, or we could take action to approve temporary maps that will help keep our elections on a level playing field. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the teenager that got caught drinking, blaming the fact that everybody else was drinking.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Yeah, well, everybody else here at the party. How come officer not arresting them? Or you caught for speeding. Did you get that guy speeding in front of me? That guy speeding. Everybody's speeding around me.
The group is proposing several measures for the November ballot. The ultimate goal is to enact a redrawn congressional map that would create 7 Democratic-leaning districts and 1 Republican-leaning district for the next 2 election cycles, and then reimpose an independent redistricting commission after the 2030 census. The state's congressional delegation is currently split evenly. The group will need to gather roughly 125,000 signatures for one of the initiatives to qualify for the ballot. Well, I want to hear from you. Join the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Is this an important effort to protect the integrity of Congress from gerrymandering that's happening in other states? Do you look at Colorado and go, Democrats continue to win statewide? Why is it split 50-50 in Congress? Perhaps the maps aren't fair. Or is this just an effort of Democrats to jump in and seize more power coming up to the election? And if other states are going to gerrymander, well, then by golly, we're going to gerrymander too. Because power is what it's all about. Join the conversation. Would love to hear from you.
That's the headline.
All right. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, 24 and clear in Denver, 23 in the Springs, expecting highs in the low 40s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning for new home heating and cooling system. Once again, for a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story, a temporary demonstration project to enhance road safety along East Alameda moves forward. Denver's Department of Transportation and Infrastructure will bring a portion of East Alameda between Franklin and Lincoln down to one lane. During the closure, they'll measure speeds, volumes, and other metrics to apply to the final design. Dodie or Dottie, both great names for an ant, but the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, Aunt Dottie, anticipates the project to be installed by the summer of this year and wrapped up by the winter of 2027. Commerce City Police say 2 men have been arrested accused of targeting Latino-owned businesses across the Denver metro area in a string of high-dollar burglaries that started last November. Joanna Small, Commerce City Police.
These 2 individuals, and we believe several other individuals who are in the process of working to arrest right now, have been terrorizing and targeting Hispanic businesses across the entire Denver metro area.
Angel Villalobos Flores and Brian Romero, both 23, used a battering ram to break into businesses, stole entire cash registers, made off with hundreds of thousands of dollars from businesses from Aurora, Denver, Lakewood, and Thornton. No employees were hurt, but business owners say the crimes left them shaken. That's understandable. Police recovered firearms during the arrests and warned that more suspects may still be at large as the case remains active. Police in the UK have been searching the home of former Prince Andrew, who was arrested this morning. NBC's Alice Barr.
Pressure has been growing around his years-long friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, the late convicted sex offender, with new revelations coming out over the past few weeks as the Department of Justice made millions more pages public from the Epstein files.
And as we all know, this is only the beginning. Blizzard conditions in California's remote Sierra Nevada backcountry are hindering the recovery of those 8 skiers who were buried in an avalanche of snow. Tuesday's avalanche near Lake Tahoe is now the deadliest in California's recorded history. 6 members of the ski team survived and another skier remains missing. Colorado authorities warning that avalanche conditions remain high in our state right now. The president will be in Georgia today to sell a positive message about the economy. He's expected to visit a local steel distributor and deliver remarks on the cost of living. The 3-day tour will include stops in Rome, Gainesville, and Dalton, an area formerly represented by MTG. A U.S. military buildup is underway in the Middle East for possible strikes in Iran. NBC News says the buildup includes warships, air defenses, and submarines should 47 decide on a U.S. military strike. And Tucker Carlson had an interview with a Christian minister on his show last night, Faraz Abraham, who's originally from a town just outside of Bethlehem, a Palestinian village right near where Jesus was born. And he says a lot of Christians are being driven out by Jews in the West Bank.
I call Palestinian Christians empire survivors.
Yeah.
We have survived empires, armies came and left, rulers came and left.
A lot of them.
Identity changed, language changed, culture has been shaped by those empires, but the people have always remained there. The church has always been open to worship. has always maintained a gospel witness. And this is my deepest concern, that if nothing has happened, if we don't do anything about it, there will be no more Christians in the Holy Land.
And last night, Tucker says that he was detained during his visit to Israel. He said men who identified themselves as airport security took their passports, hauled his executive producer into a side room and demanded to know what they discussed with Ambassador Huckabee. They were there to do an interview with him. The report in the Daily Mail indicated that the government initially planned to deny Tucker entry into the country, but eventually allowed it. Former Broncos GM Neil Dolan has passed away at the age of 85. He helped the Broncos win the back-to-back Super Bowls in the 90s and early 2099. This guy was incredible. 7-0 in Super Bowls in the front office. Prior to Denver, he worked for the 49ers. U.S. women's hockey team will clash with Canada for the gold medal today. Tomorrow, the men in the semifinals versus Slovakia. And the Nuggets at the Clippers tonight at 8:30. 25 in the Springs, 26 in Denver. That's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer in Colorado
The second
Springs.
of three
This
waves
is where
has
you
now
hear
moved out of
both
Colorado.
sides.
We're going to
We
see
are
a
the
winter
Jeff
storm
and Bill
across
Show.
the plains of Nebraska into parts of the northwest Corn Belt with cold Canadian air coming in behind the system. You're going to find temperatures here in Denver and Colorado Springs much colder than what we've been used to lately. We're going to spend most of today in the mid to upper 30s, teens tonight, and Denver and Colorado Springs will only be in the 30s on Friday. Now, wave number 3, the last of these waves, comes through on Friday. And while it's not going to be a big storm, we're going to see a little bit of light snow developing along the I-25 corridor, out across 70, both in the mountains and on the plains. So travelers keep that in mind. Light dusting to snow Friday and Friday night and continued quite cold through Saturday. Temperatures rebound with high pressure returning as we get into Saturday afternoon, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. In the meantime, be ready for a little bit of winter. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
$710 KNUS in Denver, Colorado.
And now proudly on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you get both sides of an issue. So Prince Andrew is King Charles's younger brother.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. And he's been arrested. So dude's behind bars right now for suspicion of misconduct in public office. That feels pretty broad. Misconduct in public office. I think there's a number of people in America that should be arrested for misconduct in public office. I don't know. Maybe buying stock, having some insider information, John Hickenlooper.
That'd be, yeah.
Seems a little misconduct in public office. I guess it's not illegal right now, but I would deem buying and trading on insider information because you're a elected official a bit of a misconduct.
A lot of it, you can paint with a broad brush, and it normally includes things like misuse of your position, which could be insider trading. Could be. Could also be bribery, fraud, things like that can all be covered by misconduct. Gold Bars Bob out in Jersey, we got him as far as an example. But I think that's a great example of this, that if we were going to arrest people on suspicion of, but also misconduct in public office, that would be a long, so long of a list.
What are you doing today, Officer Thorpe? I'm enforcing the misconduct in public office statute. I have 100 people to arrest down at the state capitol today.
Though, you could just set it up like an assembly line, like if you're your kids and you just get them all in as they're coming in. You're like, okay, fingerprint here, step over here. And you do we did that when you had, yearbook day at school. You have registration. You come in, you sign up, you get your class schedule, you get your ID, you get your picture taken. We do the same thing. Come in, you get your charges, you get your schedule when you're arraigned, you then get your fingerprints taken. It's the same kind of a thing. We could do the same exact program. Here's something that producer Adam and I were talking about prior to the show that I think is interesting based on, and Prince Andrew being arrested based on connections to Epstein is, I'm not sure, and this is unfair to really spring it on you, Jeff, but where are all the QAnon people? All the people that were convinced there were a group of high-powered individuals in a horrible pedophile ring that were actually running the U.S. government. Where are you all now that the Epstein files are released? Where's
seen
General?
Some spike in the football. We told you all along.
Where's General Mike Flynn? Where are all these people out there? I'm not hearing this groundswell from the QAnon adherents, even though what was said inside of QAnon is different than what this is. But I am surprised at how quiet many of those voices were when a couple of years ago they were screaming. Even Kash Patel has done a little winky nod with the QAnon people. He's directing the FBI. If there's anybody that's friendly with QAnon and the idea of a high-powered pedophile ring and maybe controlling parts of our government or even international circles, he's got a great opportunity right now to do anything about it. Nothing. It's just odd.
I'm not sure it's nothing. I've definitely seen some people saying, I've told you all along these conspiracy theories are right. Now, is the prosecution at that level? No. And to that point, 2354 texting in, I see the other countries are holding people accountable for their links to Epstein. I'm just wondering what our thoughts are on when the U.S. will start holding our people accountable. I do find that interesting.
Well, I think that we are somewhat holding our people accountable, but it's in the private sector. We talked just last week.
The lawyer from Goldman Sachs. Right.
We've got the CEO from LifeTouch is now finding himself in a tight, and he's getting his company canceled from school contracts, again, taking pictures of those yearbook pictures we were talking about because of his connections. And so we're seeing in the private sector, but oddly, in the public sector, there's not a lot of push for accountability. You can draw your own conclusions on that one.
Text messages coming in. Jason in Denver, hanging out with cigars and an intern in a blue dress in the Oval Office. Misconduct, for sure.
I can see that.
Point, Jason.
I understand. That one.
2983 gets this a little wrong, though, and I think this is important because you're seeing this. This is kind of talk of Denver. Scott Bottoms being the mandatory reporter as a pastor. He claims he has knowledge of a pedophile ring, but hasn't provided that info to the police. Not providing that info as a mandatory reporter is a crime. Why hasn't he been charged? I think it's important because he was on the show that we correct the record on that. He has notified the FBI. He's given the information to the FBI. He has said that,
he's been working with them.
That the FBI has been working on this. So that's important to know.
That is.
But
he still hasn't released the names, though.
He hasn't released the names, right? Which you're not prevented by law from doing, unless you want to avoid a
it'd be libel or defamation.
But
the issue is the proof of that is truth. If the names that he releases are actually involved in what he says they are, they can't sue him. Because you can't say, I'm suing you because you exposed my crimes I was doing. Yeah, that's not a thing. not a thing. So if the list exists and if it is true, releasing the names, while it can impede the investigation in some areas, doesn't make him liable for anything.
Feel free to join the conversation, dive in. We're talking, and we'll get to this in this next segment, but also the Prince Andrew thing and people being held accountable and where the Americans being held accountable, I think is a very fair, but also new group in Colorado launching to pave the way for a new congressional map. Do you believe that our congressional map is skewed towards Republicans? In the sense that a state that overwhelmingly goes Democrat statewide has 50-50 split on the congressional members. And this was done as a result of an independent redistricting commission. So it came across as independent. And I had friends that served on the commission. So I know it's tough to actually draw the boundaries. Because how do you do it? Do you do it by population only? Do you do it by culture, right? We would all say that Eastern Colorado's culture is different than Boulder. So how do you design it in a way that's fair to the people that live there?
And you're also constrained based on number of districts. We are only allotted a certain number of districts.
Correct.
So it's not like you can go, well, if we just bifurcate and divide this one in half, then people in this area, they're all more similar, and people in this area, you can't create new seats. So you've only playing with so many districts you can create. So that is also an artificial constraint on this. It makes it hard.
Join the conversation at 303-696-1971. Would you vote to change the districts and make them more Democrat-friendly? That's going to be on your ballot, likely, this November. They've got to go out there and get signatures. Or do you like the process we currently have? 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. He's pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, and pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to say a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. You want somebody that shares your values. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win five straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. More to come of the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver, Colorado.
And now waking up with AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you hear both sides of an issue. Oh, interesting. Someone texted in the law requiring Bottoms, Scott Bottoms, who has made allegations that there's a pedophile ring at the State House, State Senate, and Governor's office, must notify local law enforcement immediately. FBI that's out of the state does not count. That's dumb.
That's interesting. And the weird part about it is I have several people in my family and social circle that are mandatory reporters based on their jobs. I didn't ask them about that. I talked to them about being mandatory reporters, but I hadn't asked about that delineation. That's interesting.
And I understand that
Thanks.
mandatory reporters creates some form of legal liability. So if you're a teacher, but can we just say that being a human being requires you to be a mandatory reporter?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right? Like if you're hearing this stuff, it's like, hello. So, wow, that text message from a member of law enforcement, by the way, into the Jeff and Bill Show.
That's fantastic.
Reminding us that there is no exception if he doesn't trust them. Maybe Scott had said that. But
and I honestly, and this is and I feel stupid on a regular basis. I don't need help from the show, even though the show helps. But I feel real dumb for not asking that, because I did ask my people in my family about being mandatory reporters. I totally missed it about the idea of going to the FBI versus going to local law enforcement. And it is local law enforcement.
Right.
I totally missed that. Just whoosh, right over my head. Thank you so much for that.
Wow. Thank you for the text message.
Appreciate it.
All right, Bill. So this is how it's currently set up to choose a congressional district map in Colorado. So how do we draw the map? There's a 12-member body that's established by a constitutional amendment that was passed by voters in 2018. That was amendments Y and Z. Okay, the process removed the power to draw maps from the state legislature to a more nonpartisan, transparent, community-focused outcome. The commission consists of 12 members, 4 registered Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 4 unaffiliates. A panel of 3 retired Colorado appellate judges selects the members, requiring a unanimous vote. The commission must include at least 1 member from each of the state's congressional districts and at least 1 from the Western Slope. Commissioners must have voted in the last 2 general elections and must be affiliated with the same party or unaffiliated for at least the past 5 years. Nonpartisan legislative staff create the initial preliminary maps, ensuring compliance with legal requirements. The commission must hold at least 3 public hearings in each congressional district, and all hearings are broadcasted online. The commission is required to accept public input, including maps submitted by residents. So you, in your free time, Mr. Thorpe, come up with your own map if you like.
Oh, I'm going to make them inappropriate. It's going to look like a giant middle finger. That's what I'm going to do. Each finger is going to be its own little district, and then one giant one right in the middle. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm a problem.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Criterias for the map. In order of priority, they must include equal populations. They must be in compliance with federal, constitutional, and Voting Rights Act standards. They must preserve communities of interest, like political subdivisions, counties, cities, those types of things. And then they must also be competitive. That's a big deal that we just can't.
We got to talk about that.
Gerrymander these in such a way that they're no longer competitive. Well, there's a group out there called Level Playing Field that wants to bypass all of this for the next few years in light of the fact that there's battles happening between California and Texas and redrawing maps and stuff that would essentially create 7 Democrat-leaning districts, 1 Republican district, and change the makeup of Colorado's congressional representation. Now, Bill, I look at this, I think this is a stupid idea, this proposal that's coming from Level Playing Field. But I don't know how Colorado will vote on this, because historically, Colorado has been independent and loved its independence. right? If you go back into like the 90s, early 2000s, yes, pro-choice state, but Tabor, kind of keep the government out of my bedroom and my wallet, is what Coloradans would often say. We have now become a deep blue progressive state, in my calculations. 30,000 people showing up for Bernie Sanders, no Republicans elected statewide, no Republican control in the House or the Senate, near supermajorities at certain points down there as well. So Democrat state, deep blue state, is there still that independent vibe? I mean, the unaffiliates make up a largest number of voters in Colorado. So is that independent vibe still there that they're going to look at this and go, not on my watch? Or are we so progressive in the state that they're going to go, stick it to Trump? 100%. Let's flip the whole maps blue, baby. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there may be another motivation. And I'll get to the phone calls here in just a second. Hang on, caller. We'll be there with you in just a sec. I'll make this as brief as I can, which, if you've been listening to the show, it's hard for me. What I think there may be another motivation, or I don't know, for independents might be they could be persuaded that it is kind of a tit for tat, because we heard pushes by the administration coming out of Trump that because Republicans are doing so great and because Republicans are fill in the blank, we need to ensure we have control in the midterms. We won so big in the last election. We now have the right and the power to change the electorate. Not that the voters get to change who they're voting for, but that the candidates need to select who's voting for them. And I would guess that if both the independents in Colorado, but also those listening to the Jeff and Bill show, if you said what is the most fair way to draw competitive districts, you probably would go independent commission, map voted on by the voters, followed by legislatures, followed by the lawmakers, is probably the rank order of those. But we are seeing a number of legislators and legislative bodies across the country trying to change the congressional map specifically because of what they think the electoral winds are blowing towards this midterm. And I am happy that we are now ignoring the lie that the lawmakers are trying to make these the most competitive districts and taking into account all the needs of these diverse populations. No, they're picking their voters. At least we've torn that mask off. I appreciate that. But I think it also goes to expose how bad an idea it is to let any sort of lawmakers decide to pick their own voters. I think this is a crazy idea for Colorado to jump into. The only saving grace, if there's anything where if it passes, I'd be like, oh, it can't be that bad. Only because it only runs for 2 cycles based on how I'm reading it. And then it goes back to the independent commission, which is exactly what they're doing in California. And I think what they're doing is they're doing that specifically because it looks like that inside of the California law and how they went about it will get them past the Supremes. So I think that's why it's there. It can't be permanent. It has to be temporary. So I think that's part of it.
Well, just keep extending the temporary.
That's where I was going next, my friend. Yes, you keep extending it. And how hard is that one?
You know, it's often said that America is in a cold civil war about the future of this nation, the direction that it's going, and that we're just kind of fighting over the land at this point. And these are moments where I go, I see it. I absolutely see that claim, because we have in our politics moved past the notion of how can we kind of balance this thing out and make sure that everyone's represented well and all that. No. It's very much I win, you lose. The stakes are huge at this point as we put more and more trust into our government. But when you have two vastly different worldviews competing with each other and they get control of the government, well, they get the ability to drive their agenda that is not kind of slightly different. Think Kennedy Democrat versus today's Democrat, all right? Kennedy Democrat gets into office. All right, things change a little bit. Today's Democrat gets into office. things change bigly on the policy. Look at Colorado. Look at how much Colorado's changed. So in many ways, the stakes are really, really high as to who has control in that office. And I think Democrats would say the same thing about Trump. Look at how much Trump has changed this country since he got into power. So you have a lot at stake. I don't necessarily blame Democrats for seeking to do this in light of that. But to your point, Bill, let's move past the facade of going, well, we want everybody to be represented. Well, it's important for good governance. Those types of Republicans and Democrats on both sides are becoming a smaller and smaller and smaller number.
Yeah, they are.
In my mind.
Yeah, so it's a smaller and smaller group. And at least we now know that it isn't necessarily about fairness. It's about trying to, tilt representation one way or the other. And I'm not sure. I mean, what does this fix? It just... It
speaks into a national conversation. I can, we'll have Tony on here in a second, but I can imagine what progressives are going to say is that Republicans are doing this in other states, and Republicans in other states are going, Democrats do this in other states.
Yeah.
You think what we did in Texas is bad? Look at Illinois. Yeah. And then it's a battle at the national level playing itself out here. Does Colorado want to carve out the position of going, we're not going to get involved in these national battles. We are an independent state that relies on good governance. I would say at one point, Colorado would have done that. I'm not so sure it's willing to do that now. Let me know. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go to the phone lines. Tony in Littleton. Good morning, Tony. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I think you guys actually have said it. You've answered the question. In the case of Colorado, we're just following. Democrats are simply following what happened in Texas. If that had not happened, this wouldn't be happening anywhere in the country. But now it's California and Virginia and Colorado, and Republicans are trying to change their in Missouri, change the districts in Missouri. So it's happening all over the country, and it's probably no surprise that Colorado is being as blue as it is. And I don't know if you saw recent polling. Right at 50% of the country believes Trump is corrupt. He's cruel. He's in it for himself. And so Colorado certainly got a high percentage of that. And it's existential to Democrats. It's become existential that somebody gets their hands around Trump, since Republicans refuse to do their role in Congress and control Trump, control the presidency, play their role. Don't allow things that are against the Constitution. So, given that, I mean, there's no secret if they're going to try and pull that off here in Colorado. And I think you pointed it out. It's only for 2 cycles, and then it'll fall back to when they do the census. But I think because Democrats consider it existential, it's no surprise that Colorado is one of the states.
Tony, what's your take on whether or not Coloradans will approve this?
I think there's a high probability that they'll approve it if it's handled as well as the governor in California did it. I mean, he pulled it off in California, and they loved the commission that was set up. They loved having that commission that set the boundaries, but they were willing to give that up because they believe it's existential. They believe that we can't go in unarmed. We can't let it be a unilateral fight and let Trump just do it across the country.
What's the
so the answer is I think Colorado will approve it.
What's the existential threat to your life from Donald Trump?
Donald Trump, even in what he's done to our allies in terms of whether it's Canada or Europe, the attacks and the division that he's built into the system. Now we've lost allies for maybe generations. They may not, even if we elect a Democratic president and in 28 and they say, hey, we're back in the game, we're back to focusing, playing the leadership role for the Western world, for democratic societies, they're not going to trust us. That's just one. That's just one.
I want to talk, Tony, can I talk to you about trust for a
corruption
sec?
is absolutely unacceptable.
Now, I want to talk, Tony, hang on a sec for a sec. I want to talk to you about trust for just a sec, because there's something that kind of boils underneath this conversation, something that I'm feeling. I'm going to try to ask this during this hour to most of the people that call this morning, is I want to kind of go to the overarching question of trust in our elections. Now, post-2020, it is intuitively obvious to even the most casual observer that we have a somewhat side-eye distrust in many cases of elections for a variety of different reasons. Now, if we are going through the process of basically tilting playing fields in favor of one party or another, we have done that in the past, but now we are overtly saying this is the cause, does that increase or decrease overall trust in our elections? Are we making this a better, more patriotic duty to go out and vote? Or are we just creating an ecosystem where the fix is in, depending on who's in charge? Why do we even bother filling out the silly piece of paper? What's your opinion?
Billy, I think you've made a really important point, and the fact is, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt trust in the elections in general, but it's also a problem that we've got some 40 million people, maybe more, that believe 2020 was stolen. And Trump is doing everything he can to send a message to the whole country. You can't trust the election. You can't trust. If he could, he'd cancel the midterms right now. He'd cancel them if he could. And and you've heard they're talking about putting the military at every polling site, and that's scaring the heck out of Americans. And there's a lot of people who believe what he's done in Atlanta. They pulled all those ballots, not copies. They've got the only copy of those ballots that had been recounted again, and now they've got control of them. Maybe he's going to make a story. Oh, see, we found bad ballots. Blah blah blah. I won Atlanta. I won Georgia, and send a message. We can't trust mail-in, but we can't trust any mail-in. This state has successfully ran mail-in voting for I don't know how long now, and he's trying to prevent all of that. All mail-in is corrupt. I mean, that's why he canceled money for the state, because we have mail-in ballots, right?
But to be fair, Tony, there's a lot of countries that don't like mail-in ballot. It's not just Trump.
You know what? And you know what, Jeff, I understand. MAGA doesn't like it, and MAGA, you're 25%, 28% of the country. You hate it, and I get it. You hate it. You have a right to hate it. You have a right to hate it, but that's MAGA that hates it, not Democrats, not independents, not Republicans. MAGA, and this country.
I think most other European countries don't have mail-in ballots as well. Tony, we've got to get to a break. Appreciate the call.
Thanks, Tony.
The existential threat being our relationship with our allies. I think there's a lot that the left gets worked up on about Trump, and when I ask him specifically how he's affecting their lives, I get in the existential threat of their lives. That just you get allies. Canada? All right. Feel free to join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Let's talk advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology. And best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now, 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself at 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com. AdvancedHair.com. More of the Jeff and Bill Show to come. You're listening to 710 KNUS in Denver.
And now waking up with AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We've got Mary from Wyoming and Joe from Arvada coming up. Yeah, fasten your seatbelts. This will get good. Also, grab a helmet. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, adding Trucker Marcus to the list here. Text messages very hot on this one. Mail-in ballots. People going, look, I'm an independent. I'm an unaffiliated. I don't like mail-in ballots. Jeff, you're using Europe as an argument against mail-in ballots. Europe also supports women's rights to choose. I was just pointing out that it's not just Trump out there that's going. He doesn't like mail-in ballots. There's a lot of other countries. Let's go to Mary in Wyoming. Good morning, Mary. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. I had just called in to Bill because I was so frustrated that regarding voter fraud, it's more than voter fraud has been going on more than just with Trump. I admire the Democrats. They have been doing this for seasonal. And to give you an example, I called in because the way that you're talking about this doesn't address that the last time we had a census, you remember they required, Trump did not want the illegals on the census.
Right.
But they were required to be included. Who does that benefit when they are jerry-rigging districts? That's those sanctuary states because the illegals are included.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that, and I get it, Mary. The problem I have, and I don't think that I have, I'm going to preface this. I don't know the right answer or what is the best way forward, but I can see the problem with including people that are illegal or in some cases undocumented in a census, but if they're deriving services that they're part of the community, not counting in the census, and Mary, hang on a sec, maybe we'll try to finish this up here in a second, doesn't seem to hold true. So what do? They're there, they're part of the population, legal or illegal, so how do we count them if we do?
No
I don't know what the
services.
solution is.
No, it's real easy. You don't deserve any services. The government shouldn't be providing anything for you. So, yeah, you shouldn't be counted.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that.
Which is a weird premise for a Judeo-Christian society to take. Not country, society. Different.
Well, we have rules and standards. You're expected to follow them. All right,
for the government.
we'll continue. The debate is hot.
This is how it happens.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. Jeff and I will debate anything, and boy, is it fun. We hope you're enjoying it. We love having you with us. We'll be back right after this.